This is the Dataverse podcast brought to you by SDFC.
Hi everyone, my name is Rebecca and welcome to the Dataverse podcast. Today our topic is CoSeC and with me is Barbara Montanari, Director of CoSeC. Welcome Barbara.
Hi everyone, thank you for having me here today.
Thank you for coming. CoSeC stands for Computational Science Centre for Research Communities, but what does that mean? What is CoSeC?
So CoSeC helps tens of thousands of researchers do more and better science. And to explain how it does this, let's consider what enables scientists to do their research. They need three things. They need research tools, which in the case of computational science are theories, algorithms, and methods implemented into software. They also need knowledge, for example, domain knowledge, say their knowledge in chemistry or biology, but they also need knowledge of the research tools available and also on how to use them. So, for example, what methods are available to study a protein and how do I use these methods? And finally, they need resources to do the research. And these range from mechanisms to create, develop, and share ideas to opportunities for collaboration, because often research is a collaborative endeavor. They also need funding, which they are more likely to obtain if they collaborate with others. And also they need the ability to perform their computation on the powerful computers that exist in the UK and abroad. And the scientists who work as part of CoSeC support researchers in all these three aspects. So they develop research tools. So they develop the theories, methods, algorithms, and code them into software, which is developed and maintained for the benefit of all researchers in a given field. They help with knowledge because they deliver training on the methods and the codes. They organize conferences and workshops to disseminate ideas throughout the communities and so on. And they also enable the exploitation of the powerful computers, including the most powerful high-performance computers in the UK and abroad, by ensuring that the codes run easily and effectively on these platforms. And currently, CoSeC supports 20 research networks with members mainly across UK universities and the national experimental facilities. And in terms of research topics, it includes materials science, for example, materials for batteries or solar cells. And we develop methods to study these materials in the very, very small atomic scale, but also up to the mesoscale, which is a much bigger scale where the exact location of an atom no longer matters. We also are involved with the biological sciences, for example, structural biology, where we develop methods and software for determining the atomic structure of proteins. And you need to know the structure in order to understand how the proteins work. And for example, we have helped understand the structure of the virus that is causing the current pandemic. And then computational engineering, including modeling the dynamics of liquids and gases. This is very important, for example, in wind turbines, but also in the fuel that is stored in the wings of engines, wings of aircrafts. And another example of an area of science we get involved with is tomographic imaging. So most people will be familiar with CT or MRI scans for medical reasons. Unfortunately, many people need to have these for medical reasons. We write software that uses the data gathered during these scans to reconstruct the 3D image. You'll be surprised to find out that these tomographic techniques, these scanning techniques, are also used in research of materials, for example, to look at how the stress on the wing of an aircraft shows signs of wear and tear at the microscopic level in the wing. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that was really good. So what's special about our STFC staff? Why do these universities and research groups apply to CoSeC for their support?
So CoSeC staff are computational scientists or specialist research software engineers. The really special thing about them is that they couple their great depth in science domain knowledge with software engineering expertise. So they are experts in the science they work in, but also in writing and maintaining the codes that are used to do science in that specific area. And they are driven by the science, but are focused on the software that they develop as a research capability for the wide research community. So they don't just do it for themselves, they do it for the whole community. They are active researchers in their own right, so they don't just develop the software, they also use it to shed light onto the complex scientific questions, such as, for example, green energy or biological research and so on. And being active researchers enables them to keep this research capability at the forefront of science. Research groups seek CoSeC support because of the fantastic expertise that there is here. They look for us for collaboration on methods and software development, and for support with maintaining and distributing the methods and the codes. And also CoSeC acts as a mechanism for unifying the coding efforts of various groups into a shared software projects, thus avoiding the reinvention of the wheel, which often happens with software. Also, by including the contributions to the software by the various researchers into an effort centrally maintained by CoSeC, we avoid the loss of development caused by isolated efforts that might end after the completion of a PhD or a grant. They also look for support from us for training events, which they may attend or co-organize with us. For example, early career researchers will typically learn the nuts and bolts of the methods and codes at these events, and then this knowledge will form the basis upon which they will build their PhD work. And research groups also ask for our help with organizing networking events, be it conferences or workshops, and these are crucial for the circulation of ideas and for striking new collaborations.
Wow, so a lot going on then. So what does being the director of CoSeC entail? What does your day-to-day look like?
So what I love the most about this role is that CoSeC is all about the knowledge and the expertise of the people who work as part of it. So this knowledge and expertise has been accumulated over decades and encoded in the software and passed on from generation to generation. So this wealth of knowledge takes many years to be created, and therefore my outlook as a director has to be strategic and long-term. it is only by nourishing this body of collective knowledge and preserving it in well-engineered software that CoSeC will continue to enable tens of thousands of researchers do more and better science. So I need to ensure that our activities sustain this underpinning knowledge while making sure that the program delivers its objectives year on year. So the day-to-day is very varied. One thing I'm responsible for is ensuring that everyone has the resources to do their work, and first and foremost, the funding. For example, I led CoSeC into its last international midterm review in 2018, which returned a very positive evaluation of the program. And finally, I need to ensure that the significant impact of the program is well publicized so that everyone knows the great things that we are doing and therefore can use them. And this is exactly what we're doing right now. So thank you, Rebecca, for this great opportunity to talk about CoSeC.
You're very welcome. I'm just curious, did you always want to be a computational scientist?
Not at all. I didn't even know what computational science was until the last year of my undergraduate degree. As you will have gathered from my accent, I come from Italy, from a very working class family, from a provincial part of Italy. So I was just interested in everything, and I decided to study physics at university, and it was only at the end, during my the project I did at the end, the research project I did at the end of my degree, that I discovered my passion for research. And so really what I wanted to do, the idea of what I was going to do was made up as I went along, rather than being a certainty from the start.
So finally, what advice would you give to someone who is looking to go into your field?
Research is incredibly interesting and rewarding. It's ever changing, and but it also requires a very significant constant effort and dedication. So it is very, very important that you follow your passions and interests. It's not a job to choose just because just because it's a job. There has to be a strong motivation and passion at the basis of it. And then my advice is, if you do go into research, nowadays there's a tendency to become very much specialized in a very specific area, and I think it's quite important to be able to also keep a broad perspective. And so that's the advice I would give. Yes, do become specialized, but continue to look around and read and attend events that also open up your perspective, especially in terms of interdisciplinary work, because I think that's really where the biggest opportunities will be for science in the future.
Fabulous. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me today. It's been super interesting.